All right, my name's James. This is my note card. It's the only one, there's nothing on the back. We got my brother, my mom, and my cousin Gage. All right, now, how much would you put up with to get paid? Because some people put up a lot, and servers put up with quite a bit. We only get $2.13 an hour, which isn't very much, and the entire paycheck that we actually get to take home comes from tips. Now, tipping culture I don't agree with it, and I'm not against tipping in general, it's just the over-reliance on tipping. Because if you don't get tipped, you make literally nothing. So what I want to shift towards is more of an hourly pay with a slight emphasis on tips that isn't 20%, but maybe like 5 or 10%, so that they still have an encouragement, but it's not just a complete reliance. And I'm against that complete reliance because it encourages, it discourages waiters to speak up about uncomfortable situations because they'll put up with more in order to get tipped. It also encourages favoritism because you'll treat guests differently based on how you think they'll tip you. And it's another way for businesses to get away without paying their workers an average pay. Now, the first point is mistreatment from guests. And when guests tip you, they know your paycheck is based on how they tip you. And that encourages mistreatment in many different ways. Sexual harassment is 5 times more common. Well, according to the slide I have on the visual slides, it's 5 times more common in the restaurant industry than any other. But there are studies that vary because not everyone reports sexual harassment. It goes unreported quite often. The one that I found, and it seemed most to be the most reliable, was from the Restaurant Business Online. And it simply says it's more prevalent, only that it can't specify because anything they specify would be inaccurate. Only we know that with the reports, it is more common. And businesses almost encourage this. Now, Roadhouse does a very good job of having a solid outfit. You wear jeans with a maroon apron with a rag to help carry hot plates and a black shirt. Now, other restaurants like Hooters don't quite do that, and they almost objectify their workers, and you can see that on the slides. There was a big controversy about the new outfits, which were a lot more revealing than the outfits already were, and that's why a lot of people that worked at Hooters wanted to quit. And due to the social media outrage, they actually ended up reversing that decision and going back to the old outfit, saying they can wear whatever they want. But there's a reason they chose that outfit, and you can see that on my visual slide about just how revealing it actually was. And the next point is that it encourages favoritism. If you know a guest is not going to tip you well, there's no point in even serving them. You just want them to get out of your restaurant. Now every waiter, the more you do it, you can understand whether or not someone's going to tip you or not. Of course, happy middle-aged couple that talks to you and cracks jokes, they're going to tip you pretty well. But if someone walks in and splits a $10 plate, the bill is only like $13. Even if they tip you 20%, it's only going to be a few dollars. So you just want to get them out of the way because they're going to take the same time as that big party of 4 that ordered big steaks. And that also, from some people, can encourage racism because there's a chart there based on 1,000 servers that were surveyed to see who tipped the best. People treat you differently based on race because there's a common perception that African Americans will not tip as much. And that leads to mistreatment and racism and sexism and stuff because all male parties tend to tip better because they see it as a competitive. Now that was a survey based on 1,000 servers, and of course everyone said they try to do their best for everyone, but if a table is rude to you, you're not going to want to give them very good service because you know they're going to tip you very well. And the third is that it lets businesses get away with not tipping their servers as much as they should. There's that. Businesses have to pay everyone $14 an hour in Kansas at least. And a lot of them don't want to do that. Some of them pay more, but the profit margins for restaurants are very thin. So they always try to save money wherever they can. And not paying waiters is a good way to do that, since people don't usually take the tip into account and look at the bill. So they don't think they're paying as much. And if they raised the wages for waiters, they have to raise the bills on all the food, which people may think it costs more, even though, because they don't think about the tip when they calculate how much they're paying for their food. But that also leads to more mistreatment because if the kitchen, which gets paid hourly, produces bad food, that comes back on the server. And the server takes the credit because if you get bad food, you're not going to tip your server very well, even though we aren't the ones making your food, we can only run it. So that always backs up, and that was according to Ambosino at Vox.com. because bad food equals poor tips. And tipped workers are more likely to live in poverty because the controversy is that some waiters will make a lot of money, and in steakhouses like Texas Roadhouse, we usually do make much better money than we would anywhere else. But for other restaurants, you won't make as much money. Sometimes they don't even make minimum wage. And that is a problem because tipped workers are more likely to live in poverty. And according to the Economics Policy Institute, the average worker is 6.9% of all workers are in poverty, but 12.8% of tipped workers are in poverty. And that just goes to show that tipped workers do not get paid as much as hourly workers. Now, in conclusion, over-reliance on tip culture creates a poor situation for both workers, and it even comes back and ends up mistreating guests as well. And it's just another way for businesses to cut back on spending and make more profit. All right, that was my speech. Thank you very much. Please be 5 minutes. Yes, we're good.